I want to share with you something that has completely transformed my life and transformed the life of thousands and thousands of people that I've had a chance to work in the past 7 years. But before I go in there, I want to share with you my 3 goals with you. My first goal that I have with you in the next 40 minutes is to identify why, even with all the information on your fingertips, why do you fail to overcome obstacles, meet your goals, and live a life of fulfillment? You see, you have all the information that you need. You have access to all this information that you've been getting, but very few of us is able to take all that information and translate it to real transformation. How many of us have taken and read the books and done the courses and attended many seminars, and we still find ourselves with the same blocks, the same concerns, the same challenges? It seems like we never get to take that information and then turn it into transformation fast. We may make a transformation, but it sometimes takes years before we get anywhere. So first of all, I want to share with you, why does that even happen? Then, once we have done that, I want to move to the next goal that I have for you, which is I'm going to show you exactly how you can coach yourself on a daily basis to create the most desired outcome that you want in your life faster. I'm going to walk you through this exact 4-step process that you can implement in your life starting today that will help you create results for yourself. You will find the tools that I'm going to show you, the tools and techniques that I'm going to show you will become extremely useful to create personalized results. And I'm so excited to share that with you in just a couple of minutes. And my third goal for you is to demonstrate that this process works irrespective of your age, experience, your race, your country, or your gender. It does not matter where do you come from. It does not matter how old you are. It does not matter how much work you've done or not done. It does not matter. This works globally for everyone. And that is why I'm so excited to share this work with you. But before we get into it, let me share with you, this also will become the fastest, most effective path of transformation that you are going to experience. I am, like Jason briefly introduced me, my name is Ajit. My name is Ajit Nawalkha. I am an author of multiple books. I'm a master coach. I've been a trainer for several years now. I've also co-founded an organization, a company called Evercoach by Mindvalley, which is a training platform for coaches and educators to elevate their abilities to be able to create bigger, more empowered impact in their clients' lives and in their own lives as a consequence as well. But like you can imagine, before I was able to take cool photos sitting on my couch and be able to look all that confident, I didn't start there. That wasn't where my journey really started. My journey started in a very humble way, in where I doubted myself. I had concern about myself. I was part of the organization that is putting this summit together, which is Mindvalley. I was running the marketing department for several years. And while I was doing all of that, and I was good at my job, I personally felt like I have little contribution to make in the world. I felt like, yeah, I know some things and I'm okay at it. I didn't see myself as a coach. I didn't see myself as a trainer. I didn't see myself as this person that can impact lives. I just thought I'm just here to do my little bit for my family, for myself. And if I could get ahead a little bit, that's all I wanted in life. And that changed because of a chance incident that happened in life. And that was when, coincidentally, I was at a Mindvalley event. It's called A-Fest. You might have heard about it. And I happened to cross this one individual in my life at that time. Now, some of you may recognize this person from the first day of presentation. This is Lisa Nichols, 8 years ago, right? I met Lisa as a chance incident because I was at A-Fest and she was presenting at A-Fest, and there was a chance where I could get lunch with her and just help her out with whatever questions she might have around working with Mindvalley and so forth. And so we sat down for lunch and she presented some ideas to me, and I happened to just do what a good person does, right? Just help out. It's like, hey, listen, I think you could try these ideas in your business. You could try these ideas in how you reorganize things around you. And I thought nothing of it. I was just grateful that I had the opportunity to sit down with Lisa Nichols. I was like, damn, yes, I get to sit down, I get to help her. That's amazing. Like, I get to talk to her. That was all I was hoping for, and I was super grateful that it happened. Coincidentally, a few months later, I get a call from Lisa, and Lisa says, hey, Ajit, remember that conversation we had? It is starting to turn how we approach our business and how I approach my life. Would you mind coming down and talking to me about it? I was like, wow, this is jackpot number 2. I get to talk to Lisa Nichols again, private setting, just me and her. That's just amazing. That would be the story I tell my kids, right? And so I get to sit down with her again. And this time she actually introduces me to her team and we get to have a great day with them again. I'm just feeling grateful. I'm honored. I'm blessed. I feel, oh, this is so good. I get to sit down with Lisa Nichols. I got to help somebody. It's amazing, right? Until one day, again, I get another call. And this is again from Lisa. And Lisa says, hey, Ajit, it seems like you're in the same town as I am. I'm doing an event. And the event was called Book to Bestseller or something like that. Or Speak and Write, I think was the name of the event. And she says, why don't you come down to the event for a couple of hours and we'll meet backstage and I'll get to see you. I'm like, sure. So I go over there, we meet backstage, and I go back at the room, sitting down, just embracing and loving the energy of the room and so on and so forth. And Lisa starts telling the story about this coach that has impacted her life. And she starts telling about how it has impacted her personal life and professional life. And I'm like, damn, who's this person? I would love to see this person. This is a great person. I should absolutely get to know this person, whoever this person. And I'm expecting somebody is going to be introduced shortly because she's making this big introduction. So I'm expecting somebody to come on stage. And then she goes, Ajit, are you in the room? Can you please stand up so my tribe can see who this person is? And I am in shock. I'm like, whoa, what happened here? What are you talking about? Me, this guy from India who's trying to figure out life? I impacted your life in some way. I was able to create a transformation in your life, some way, so much so that you're introducing me in front of like thousands of your students saying, that's the guy. And that shifted something in me because for the first time, I realized how much power all of us have. How much power I could have if I could just lean into my authentic, most powerful self and I could create transformation for people's lives. And thanks to that chance meeting and thanks to that transformation, today I can proudly say that I've personally impacted about 150,000 people globally through my programs, through my coaching, through people I've coached and they have coached further on. We have over 1,000 case studies of people who have taken my programs on Mindvalley at stories.mindvalley.com. When you look under the author, Ajit Nawalkha, I have over 1,000 case studies of individuals that have positively become a better coach, have impacted lives further on, and also be able to create businesses that they truly love. And I feel honored today to be able to share that same transformation with you in the next 30 or so minutes. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you feel like that you have all the information, but still you find it so hard to achieve the kind of transformation that you seek? You have all the information, right? You have all the information. You have access to books. You've read many books. You've attended many seminars. You have gone to many rooms. You've maybe taken many quests. You have all the information that you need. Why is it that you're still struggling to create the transformation that you want in your life? What is the thing that is stopping you? Well, just to figure this out and explain this to you, what we did is we took a test group. We took a test group that was attending Mindvalley Summit, and we connected their brains with device to really analyze what happens in the brain of somebody that is taking in a lot of information. This is how their brain looks. Their brains look something like this. This is you thinking about, this is the main decision maker part of your brain, and each of that idea, each of that piece of information is going, me. And then suddenly you find yourself into a state of going, oh crap, I can't make a decision. I can't take this information and turn it into transformation because I have so many information pulling at me, so many data points pulling at me. It's like watching the news. You can keep watching the news, but that information does not create any transformation for you. So how do we go about creating transformation? How do we take information and turn it into transformation? I have a 3-step process for you that you can start using today. So next time when you're taking information, you know how to really take that information in a way that becomes transformation. Ready for this? Okay. There are 3 steps to make your information, the information that you got, into transformation in your step. First step is turn information into a personal tool. Information is meaningless. Information does not do anything for you. When you take information and you take it and then you go, okay, how do I make it a personal tool for myself? Is when that information starts the journey to become transformation. This is also not transformation. Transformation really happens when you take this personal tool and you bring this personal tool as a practice. Practice this tool to facilitate transformation. So you take this tool and you keep using it again and again and again in your life to be able to move towards transformation. But that is not it either. Then you have to keep practicing and adapting this tool to be in congruence with your growth. You see, we create tools sometimes and we start taking them and using them, and we think that this tool will work for me forever and ever and ever. But you are growing as an individual. The tool of yesterday cannot be your tool of tomorrow. The tool of yesterday was a tool of yesterday. The tool needs to be congruent to the growth that you are experiencing in your life. And because the tool needs to be congruent to the growth of your life, you need to always be adapting your tool. You see this? You want to remember that you are not seeking information. You're seeking transformation. And if you want to seek transformation, you must turn your information to a tool. And that needs to be a personal tool. It can't just be, hey, this tool works for everybody. It doesn't. You've experienced tools that seem like they work for everybody, but very often you see those tools don't really work for you. And that's why you give up on those tools, right? If you've given up on tools, you've realized that might have happened because, well, those tools don't really work for you. So you have to personalize your tool. And once you personalize that tool, you have to practice it. You have to actually bring it to move you towards transformation. And as you are practicing the tool, then you have to reflect back and adapt it to your growth. Because if you don't adapt it in congruence with your growth is too far ahead and your tool's not capable to keep up with that growth that you are creating in your life. Okay? And I'm about to share with you, so information when turned into personal tool facilitates transformation, but I'm about to share with you something that is very, very powerful, which is when you take information and you become your own coach, and you take this information and you take that effort of building a personal tool, you have to become your own coach. And as you become your own coach, it enables you to building personal tools more and more in congruence with your growth in your life. So the goal really is to say, yes, I need information, but I need to learn how to coach myself so I can adapt tools that I'm getting from this information or create tools from this information so I can change my life. Okay, I'm going to share with you something really embarrassing in a second. I'm embarrassed to share it because it's a picture probably from about 10 years ago. But the reason I'm sharing this embarrassing photo is so you understand how powerful this tool can be, how powerful it can be, and how confusing it can be when you are just then you just have information, but you are not using it to transform your life. So this is a photograph of me, or two photographs of me in my 20s. This is me in my 20s. You may not even recognize that I am the same person. This is supposedly the best years of my life, right? So in my 20s, clearly I was struggling. I was struggling health-wise, you can see as in this picture. But of course, everything that comes with a health challenge was also there. I wasn't confident. I wasn't feeling like I will be anything in my life. I didn't feel like I had the energy to really be what I needed and wanted to be in my life. And I was struggling. I was really, really struggling. And through this struggle, I found that I had to change. And thankfully at that time, Mindvalley showed up in my life. And so I started to make some transitions in my life through information, right? A few years down the line, as I was starting a little bit of transition in my life, there was a friend that showed up in my life. And this friend then later on became my wife. This friend was listening to me talking about, hey, listen, I know how health works. You have to do this diet, and then you have to go work out 4 times a week. And then you must do a little bit of yoga and stretching. And I had all the data, right? I had nutritionists. I was like, I have to take these vitamins, and I have to take, I have to be on this diet, and so on and so on and so on. And I kept telling all these things to her. And she goes, Ajit, that is fantastic. That is great to know that you have all the information. It seems like you know everything you need to know. Seems like you know everything that you need to know. Now, how does this information become the transformation you seek? You see, this question was simple enough. This question was simply asking, hey, yeah, you have the information, but how does this become transformation for you? But it incited something in me because I was like, oh, I see my problem. I have all the information in the world. I have all the information that I need, but I've never really taken that information and said, how do I turn it into a tool? How do I turn this into transformation for myself? How do I turn it into transformation for the rest of my life? And of course, that changed my life. That changed my life completely. And I started to learn about something that is that we now call self-coaching. Self-coaching is you coaching yourself. Self-coaching enables you to turn information to personal transformation tools, right? So if you can turn information to personal transformation tools, you can have a completely different life and a really quick way to transform your life. Now, that sounds really cool, right? You're like, all right, Ajit, so self-coaching, I'm going to do self-coaching, but hold on. What the heck does that mean, right? And which brings me to my second goal that I have for you today, which is give you the tool to coach yourself every day to get you your desired outcome faster. You see, once you realize that you have to take information and personalize it for yourself, you then realize that that can be done only in a way where you build a deep understanding of who you are and how you operate. And while other coaches can help you do that, and while therapists can help you do that, your friends can help you do that a little bit, the real journey is when you take a journey within yourself and you really invest the time and energy to figure out how to coach yourself. So what I'm going to give you is four pillars that we've studied and tested multiple times while we are training individuals to be able to coach themselves. If you understand these 4 pillars today, you'll be able to take these pillars and implement it in your life, in your coaching ability to coach yourself and create transformations in your life. Coaching is, when understood, is one of the simplest forms and simplest transformation models there is, because coaching focuses on the individual. Coaching doesn't take a data point from a large set of people. It does take it, but it then customizes it to the person that you are working with. In this scenario, you yourself. But if you're working outside of your system, if you're a coach already and you're working with somebody else, you must approach coaching as a personalized tool to the person that you're working with. And hence, it becomes the simplest and most potent transformative model for the individual. And it adapts to the individual. And that's why it becomes so very powerful. The first, and before I get into that, I want to share with you my story of big transformation that happened and started in 2015. This is me presenting at an event. When I was presenting at the event, you would feel like everything is right with this guy, right? I mean, what seems off? He's presenting on stage. He seems okay. He seems pretty much healthier than the guy in the 20s for sure. He seems like he's got his stuff together. He's got somebody raising the hand. Like, it feels cool, right? But what you don't know is the story behind this picture. The story behind this picture is just a few months after this picture was taken, I would have my life completely crash and burn. I would have realized that I am chasing a career that is giving me tremendous satisfaction in the moment, but is also taking away from what is true and honest to me as who I am and who I want to live as a person, as my being. I will also realize that I was in the wrong relationship. I'll realize that my health, as much as it looks better, is still suffering. I'm borderline alcoholic in some ways. And all of these realizations would put me to a place where I had to step away from everything that was good or bad in my life and tell myself that I need to get present with myself, that I need to find a way finally where I stop the suffering, when I stop concerning myself with my fears, when my fears, my beliefs stop me every day from living my greatest purpose. And I have to find a way. I have to find a way to live a life that is in most congruence with who I truly am. That I have to live a life where I am joyful today, that I'm not chasing some arbitrary expectation of my parents and others around me, that I'm not trying to let my ego guide my behavior because one day my ego tells me that I'll be enough and I'll be fulfilled and I'll be whole. I wanted to live a life that was true and honest to me, and that realization brought my life crashing down. And as my life crashed, I had the opportunity to really step away from everything and start working on a model that worked for me. And in that process, I discovered what I now call the process. It has a 4-part pillar system that I'm going to share with you that is adaptable to who you are as a person, is adaptable to till the time you philosophically understand what it really means, because it is customized in every way to who you are as a person, because it shows up differently based on the person who's experiencing it. The first part, or the first pillar of the process, is presence. It's presence. It's understanding that future and past have stories for us to know, but don't really create joy for us in any given moment. Our past is always telling us stories. It's telling us the stories of how we were not worthy at a time. It's telling us a story of how we didn't do enough, how our relationships have always sucked, or our health is never going to meet the standards because it didn't meet the standards at some point. But past is just that. It's the past. It's the stories that are created based on how we approached that event with the experience of life we had at the time. When you were in your 20s, when you were in your 30s, you were a person in 20s and 30s. You had a set of experiences. But that set of experiences, you did the best you could and created the experience for yourself. They are not determinant of who you are today. But we carry those stories into today thinking that those stories define us. Those stories didn't define us. Those stories educated us. They trained us. They gave us an experience of life that we can so very cherish today. And then the other thing shows up where we are always chasing this arbitrary future, projecting into the future of what may happen. Oh, when I go to work tomorrow, I don't know if I'll be happy. In 10 years from now, I need to be at this much income goal. I will be healthier a year from now. Projecting into the future, right? I will not be happy in the future if this doesn't happen today, right? We always are projecting into this arbitrary future that is merely a projection based on the story of the past. We both know that there is no way that our past defines our future, but for some reason, we think realistically that's the way to think about it, right? How can I create a predictable projection into the future without taking in consideration what happened in the past? Well, that's the beauty of the present moment, because if you really, really, really sit down and meditate on this just for 1 second and get really present to this moment, present moment is the only moment where past and future is happening at the same time while integrating into the present. What I just said already is in the past. What I'm about to say is already into the future. I am sitting in the perfect integration, perfect segue where I can change my past and my future simultaneously by getting real present and available to what is now. So the first thing that we want to understand as self-coaches is that we need to get present. We need to stay present to who we are. We need to stay present to what's joy for us right now. When you get really present, it also turns off all those past stories and the future projections. And when it turns off the past stories and future projection, it gives you this immense power to be able to do something that's rational, which is step 2 of us self-coaching ourselves, which is to organize your mind. You see, what happens to us is we are a series of events. Right now, you're at an event. This is happening to you in circumstances and as an event, as an experience right now, right? This is happening, right? What I say is an event to you. It is something that happened. And because of this event, there's a thought that will get generated. A thought might be, let's say for sake of example, self-coaching is something new. Let's say hypothetically, right? That is the thought that gets generated because the event is, I say self-coaching is powerful and a new thing or a new way to approach your life and your transformation going forward. You go, all right, thought, which is independent of any thinking. It's independent of any emotion. It's just a thought, which is self-coaching is new, right? Which will generate some kind of thinking though, right? You could choose to think self-coaching is new. I can't do it. Self-coaching sounds complicated. I can't do it. Self-coaching sounds exciting. It sounds real fun. Seems like it has gotten some results for this guy and a lot of people around. It probably can get some results that I want. And you could have any of these 3 thinking, right? Based on these thinking, there would be some emotion that will get generated, but the emotion is going to be different. And this is where life starts to turn magically, tremendously, right? So suddenly, if you were thinking self-coaching is new, and I don't know if it's for me, guess what you're going to do? Oh, I'm going to turn it off. I'm not going to think about it. It's too hard. It's too difficult. I'm going to step away from it. That's the emotion, right? You're fearful of it. You're concerned about it. You're unsure about it. But let's say you chose the last way of thinking, which was, oh, self-coaching seems like it worked for this guy. I would love to explore this. Now you're curious, right? You're excited. You're like, I want to know more what this guy is talking about, right? And so you're choosing that emotion. And as you choose that emotion, of course, that emotion is going to trigger some kind of action. And the action is going to be different based on the emotion you chose. And because the action is going to be different, you're going to get a different result. And because of the different result, you will go back into seeing different events in a different light and getting different thoughts and different thinking around it, right? So When we get present to the moment, when we stop taking the past stories and when we stop reflecting into this future projections, what happens is it gets us really rational. Now I can observe my thinking because I'm present to what's happening for me right now, right? If you identify what's the thinking that is happening as it's talking, you're going, oh, this is the thinking that's happening, but I have other thinking patterns that I could choose from. And because you're available, your faculties are available to it, because you're present, now you can choose the thinking that best serves you. You see, most of our thinking is autopilot, right? We take it from the past or from our fear of the future. We just choose the safest path we can. Our brains choose the safest path they can. But when you get real rational, when you get real present, you are now able to make a conscious decision to be able to say, I'm going to choose this thinking in this scenario, which I know will create these emotions, which will create this action, which will create this result in my life. And that will make me better every single day, right? And because you chose the right thinking, and because every time you choose the more empowered thinking, when you choose the right thinking in the next step and the next step and the next step, soon you see your life is completely transformed because of the segment of thinking patterns that you chose every single time. So my invitation for you, the second invitation for you, is as you get present, is also become available to thinking, get real rational about what really is happening, and don't choose the autopilot thinking. That's the thinking your brain wants you to take because it wants you to be safe. But safety never created growth. Safe is not growing. Safe is just safe. You are here because you want to grow. You want to progress. You want to be a different version of yourself, the more aligned, more empowered, more purposeful version of yourself, a person that is always joyous and meeting all the goals that they want to do, right? And you can do that if you chose the empowered thinking. But that is not it, because that thinking needs to then be translated into bioengineering. Bioengineering is simply that we can change our psychology by changing our biology, right? Sometimes our mind, our rational mind, is not supporting our bigger goals, right? Have you found yourself procrastinating even when you know it's not the right thing to do, right? Where you're like, I know I shouldn't be procrastinating, Ajit, but I keep procrastinating, right? Where you go, I know I shouldn't have this negative feeling when I'm about to get on stage. I should feel confident, but I am not confident, right? Because our thinking is not supporting us. It's not playing along. And sometimes when that happens, you need to move it by moving your biology. We are this body, which contains our soul, which contains the psychology piece of ours, is very powerful. As you can turn your psychology to turn your biology, you can use your biology to turn your psychology. So then, once you have chosen thinking, and even if you're not able to use that thinking every day, you put in systems and habits and bioengineering and neural networks that are happening because your brain is always growing and expanding into your body. So as a person, you keep evolving, right? Because your biology supports your psychology, right? And when your biology supports your psychology, you're able to continue to create those transformations, right? Their new neural networks are always getting created in our minds. And if we actively pursue a particular neural network, we have a chance to permanently rewire how we respond to life. We have a great chance today. You have a great chance today to take that neural network that is anyways expanding. It's anyways going to grow into something. It will either grow into making you believe exactly what you believed in the past. It'll keep you down, it'll keep you back, or you can choose this neural network to create a completely new reality in your life, right? So choose every day on how I'm going to use this growing neural network. How am I going to use this growing body that is always growing, always expanding, always changing, to expand and change into something that I desire and that I can be back in control. Not for the sake of ego, but because I know I am more than what I have experienced in my past, because my future, my present, holds so much joy, so much bliss for me. I just have to lean into it by using these tools. Which brings me to the last element, which is connectedness. Connectedness is the ultimate in a way, but it's a little fuzzy and it takes a little longer to develop. But once you find it, it makes it real easy to live a life of joy, live a life of experience, live a life of growth. The first element of connectedness is purpose. There is nothing more driven than a human who knows his purpose. If you are somebody who knows your purpose in the world, the drive that you have, the energy that you have on a daily basis is dangerous almost. It is so positive, it's so progressive if you know your purpose. The challenge is many of us don't invest enough time, enough energy into really identifying what is it that I'm here for. What is it that is my calling? What is it that's my purpose? The second thing is intuition, which is us being able to lean into the energy of the infinite intelligence that is beyond us, that is there within our subconscious, that we are connected to, that we can tap into whenever we want. The more we develop our intuition, the easier it becomes for us to lean into an inner infinite intelligence that we can then use to create whatever we want as a reality of our own. And then lastly is oneness. If we were all scientifically agreeing individuals and we said we were all created because of the Big Bang, it simply means that there was an explosion that happened, and from that explosion everything happened, which means we are all stardust, which means we are all essentially connected, that we came from the same thing. And if we came from the same thing, which means we have the ability to tap into this community, this beauty that we have, that I can tap into you and you can tap into me with absolute ease. And if we can connect beyond, we are able to then tap into the infinite that is available around us all the time, right? So those are the elements of self-coaching, of you being able to coach yourself. Now, so at this point, and I've gone through a lot, I have maybe 12 minutes left and we'll just be on time. But as of now, what we have covered is this. We have first talked about that information does not create transformation. We learned that information is just information, and you have to actually turn it into a tool for it to be able to create a transformation. You also learned that coaching is the fastest, most effective way of transformation. So if you can coach yourself, you can create a new life every single day. You need, for that matter, to coach yourself every day to create a new life. And there are 4 pillars to coach yourself. You need to get real present. You need to organize your mind. You need to bioengineer yourself, and you need to have connectedness, right? So this is where we are right now. You now understand that all the information that you have got can be turned into a real tool for yourself personally as you learn how to coach yourself. And that is how the power of coaching really reflects in your life. You know exactly the 4 pillars that you need to learn, experience, and lean into to be able to have that self-coaching experience that you want to have. Now, with that, I want to share something, because I know a lot of people come to me when I share with them self-coaching and coaching as a tool, as a skill, thinking, yeah, Ajit, but it's not for me. You know, I don't understand psychology. I don't understand biology. I am of this age and I am of that age. And I want to invite you to a new narrative, which is that if you could live a life of a coach, if you could live a life of a coach, and not like coach as an outside coach, you don't have to coach anybody else. But if you could lean into your own coaching ability and live a life of a coach as a being, you will find that you have a life more of purpose, more of meaning, more of contribution, and more of abundance. And that is because when coaching really shows up in your life, all those doubts and concerns about what your age is and what your race is, what the country that you come from, tend to melt away. They melt away because you realize that you are pure potential, that you are pure untapped potential that is just waiting for you to show up for you. It is waiting for you to show up for you and show yourself the path of those infinite expansion of this pure potential releasing itself into the universe. So I want to invite you to that conversation. I want to invite you to think about how a coach's life could be the best version of your life that you have yet to live. You can be a self-coach and a coach to others if you choose to, irrespective of your age, race, country, gender, or religion. And I want to share that also as an experience, somebody from the outside. This photograph that you see on screen right now is of Alina Latham. Alina Latham is the founder of Orange Theory. And while one may think, well, so what? I want to share the story of how she really started Orange Theory. So Alina Latham was a Pilates trainer for much of her life. And at one point in her life, which is when she was, and I could get her age a little bit wrong, but I think she was 54 years old. When she was 54, she realized that she has found over the experience of life that she could optimize Pilates by introducing certain workout routines. So if you don't know Orange Theory has a particular workout routine that you follow. Like my wife loves Orange Theory, I love Orange Theory. We love going to those classes. And what happened was that Alina said, hey, listen, in the back of my room, I'm going to try this routine with people. And people came in and they started doing this exercise. And 11 years later, Alina and her company was valued at $1 billion. And she had 1 million students. Currently, I think in 2020 or 2021, even post-pandemic, now they have 1 million students that they work out with every single week, every single day. 1 million active students of Orange Theory. What could it mean for you if you chose to take all the experience of life that you have and took that life experience and said, you know what, I can integrate with what Mindvalley is teaching, for example, or learn all these different tools of self-coaching and really bring it into my abilities of what I have learned through the experience of life right now and create something new. If Alina at 54 can dream to create Orange Theory and build it up to $1 billion in just 11 years, imagine what you could do with everything that you have experienced in life. Alina, like all of us, is just another human being having and being the greatest version of themselves. You could be the next Alina. You could be the next Vishen. You could be the next Ajit. You could be the next Ronan. You could be the person that you've always wanted to be. You could be that person that coaches themselves to live a more transformed life on a daily basis. You could also be a coach that helps other people live a more transformed life on a daily basis. I truly do believe that this world is going to experience another wave of transformation as we start to show up as coaches in people's lives. I know my life is better because I work with myself every day. They're my personal tools. I get to develop them based on the 4 pillars. I get to learn better. I get to interact better. I have had my life transformed in the last few years because I can coach myself every single day. I know this unique ability has changed many people's lives around me. My students, my family members, everybody is different because I get to show up as a coach in their life. I get to help them reflect on how life could be if they use these tools in their own lives. And my invitation for you, my friend, is that you choose a life of coaching yourself, a life of transformation for yourself, that you take not just information, but you choose transformation, that you take the tools and create the tools personalized to you. Because when that happens, transformation is going to be easy. Transformation is going to be a breeze. My invitation for you is that you become your own version of Alina Latham or Vishen Lakhiani or Ajit Nawalkha or any of the teachers that you resonate with, because they are all started as coaches. They all started as individuals who work with themselves and transform their lives by coaching themselves. I hope, my wish for you is that you start doing that. Okay? Coach yourself and coach people that are around you, people that matter to you, because that is the most beautiful thing that you can do. If you haven't yet experienced the joy of contribution, I invite you to take the first step and start coaching yourself and then coaching people around you so you can experience that joy when you get to contribute to somebody's life, so you can have that Lisa Nichols moment I had. I was blessed. I was like, oh my God, that was so beautiful. I hope and I wish that for you. I'm so blessed that I get to share this experience with you. Thank you. Thank you. So blessed to be here. Thank you very much, everybody, for showing up.